Part 153. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1536. This guy, who changes from time to time, how can he remain personal? Even if she does not change, she will become her kind. After all, it is her seed. Forget it, you can't think about it. As soon as you go deeper, happiness and surprise will be gone. Yanj stared at the carbon residue on the ground. The nucleus energy is no longer felt in the carbon slag. With that guy's food attributes, Yanj also had no hope of picking up leaks. She turned her head and looked at where the dog was. The dog is still fighting with the 4th level zombies. Yan Song's broomstick shocked him too, but he turned his head and narrowed his eyes before focusing on the zombies. A 4th level zombie, and it is obvious that this zombie's attributes are deliberately targeted at him. He certainly didn't expect the woman to carry a cleaner to help him. Although it would take a bit of effort to resolve this zombie, he was sure. To his surprise, the woman put away the broom and rushed over to fight the zombies with him. This woman even help him. At this moment, Go Zi pondered deeply whether she had misunderstood her before. And what she did to her today seemed too much. The next moment, Yan Ji blocked everything in front of him desperately, blocking him from the zombies. Go Zi, no woman will ever stand in front of him. The scent of herbs on her body penetrated into his mouth and nose. His heart was pounding, and at this moment, he felt like his blood was boiling. Yan's sting was behind the zombies, his fingers were claws, and he caught the zombie's waist. The 4th level crystal nuclei were immediately caught in her hands. Fearing that her food would rush out and eat the crystal nucleus, she grabbed the crystal nucleus and absorbed it as soon as possible. The 4th level zombies lost their crystal nuclei and fell to the ground instantly. The body without water and blood became a dry corpse, which soon withered. The heart is full of gossip. She could hardly wait to absorb the nucleus. Absorbed for the first time, it seemed afraid that he would grab. She also raised her hand and waved at him, "No thanks, goodbye." This woman. Goza's blood was cold to scum in an instant. The singer was very dirty, and she talked down and planted a small tree. Dewdrops condensed on the leaves of the tree were on her hand. She patience is washing her hands. Although the leaves of the tree condense water slowly, drop by drop, slowly, but she has patience. The next moment, water emerged from the air, flushing her hands with her face. Oh, even her clothes were washed again. Yan Ji reached out and touched the water on his face, and said to Gozi, "Thank you. This guy will not only be lightning, fire, but also water, omnipotent." Gozi kept his lips silent, staring blankly at the song. Yan Ji looked down at himself strangely. Why do you think of me like that? It was as if she owed him millions. She had instinctively ignored it, and she had just snatched him a quaternary nuclei. Gozi squeezed his fingers and looked away from her. Does this woman wear no underwear? The bumps were so obvious that she hadn't noticed herself. Yanj, thank you, are you still okay? Go back if it's okay, and I'm leaving. Gozi imagined that she was seen by everyone in such a dress. What do those people think of her? His throat rolled and he couldn't bear it. Dry your clothes before you go. With her puzzled eyes, he fixed his eyes on her chest. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1537. Yan Ji followed his gaze to see his slightly bulging chest and the 2 small dots, without hesitation, saying, "Last night, 2 bags were bitten by a mosquito, don't think about it." The mosquitoes in this last age are also very powerful. It is true that none of the so-called survivors are vegetarian. Mosquitoes are no exception. Yanj never thought that there would be such a cruel mosquito. The body of Yanj, the chest is flat and there is no difference between the washboard. It is simply the most flat-chested owner she has ever encountered. The original owner used to wear a bra to pretend to have a chest. Yan Ji took a bath last night and stared at her chest for a long time. After confirming that it was not dazzling, she even saved her bra. She doesn't deceive herself like the original owner. In fact, she wondered whether the original owner was a transgender man who changed from a woman to a woman. Men are older than her. Alas, whacks the original owner. Fortunately, this is not her body. Fortunately. It's nice to let myself go without a bra. But overjoyed, she was choked by mosquitoes last night. The mosquito specially picked her bite. So, the next day, the chest became 2 Xialong Bao. Although there is a chest, Yanj is not open at all, because this mosquito bites so much. I don't feel my chest. Guzi. Who would believe such words? Fools would not believe it. He looked a little subtle. For the first time, I heard a woman comparing her chest to a mosquito bag. Those women used to want to let others see how they were mostly white and soft. She treated her chest as a mosquito bag. It's a clear stream. It's the same as those glamorous bitches. He actually wanted to ask jokingly. Since it's a mosquito bag, what about her chest, where did she go? Never lose it? But when the words came to his mouth, he swallowed slowly. After all, the joke is not his style. Well, hold back. Guzi's gaze was too present, and he vowed loudly, it's a mosquito bag. While talking, he also stretched his hands and rubbed his chest, frowning. It swelled up after being bitten by a mosquito. It hurts and numbs. I feel that the meat is not my own, and it hurts. Guzi's eyes fell on her thin white fingers. His ears were sharp and red. His eyes drooped immediately, moving to her toes, and her voice remained calm. Well, I see. So you don't need to rub it anymore, this is so indecent. Words, if you're fine, just leave. Something. Guzi's voice was a bit low, but instead of looking up directly at the song, he said, I hope you can go back. Song, I don't want to. Before the words were over, 2 more zombies suddenly appeared and went straight to the 2. This time the zombies were not level 4, only level 3. When the song was resolved, Guzi had blasted the zombies into dregs. When he saw Yanj, he walked to Yanj in a few steps and reached out to spread out. In his palm was a nucleus of a 3rd level zombie. Here you are. Yanj absorbed his own one, and then raised his eyebrows at him. Why me? Why? Did Antishi say it before? Yanj sighed, took the crystal nuclei and absorbed it immediately, and said, forget it, knowing that this is your parting gift, I will accept it as hard as possible. She stopped talking and suddenly paused, staring at Guzi. These zombies came to you. Guzi nodded. Yanj, forget it, I'll go back with you, can you give me another bath before going back? It sounded a little intimate, and it was fascinating. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1538. Guzi's face turned slightly red. He turned his head to the side. Although he didn't answer, Yan Ji successfully appeared a water column above his head. After Guzi took Yanj back, the 2 went to the cafeteria for dinner together. His teammates looked so expressive. They look handsome and do whatever they want. Like their boss, the straight male cancer that should have kneeled to chase his girlfriend, because he looks good, and chased his girlfriend back after a long walk. Envy, jealousy, hate. Obviously frowning at each other, but pretending that nothing has happened, greeted Yanj with a smile on his face. Why dare to grab the boss's woman again? When he greeted Yanj, his eyes looking at Yanj were almost heartbroken. However, he was thinking at the bottom of his heart that he would meet the big-breasted woman after eating, and he was very comfortable being waited on last night, always thinking about it. After dinner at night, Yan Ji and Guzi acted alone and went out again. Zombies are more active at night. And there are no more powerful zombies around the base. Guzi rode a motorcycle with Yanj and planned to go further afield to help her hunt a few 4th level zombies. He had seen that big broom. There are big broomsticks, how many 4th level zombies come, there is no return. Yan Ji didn't know that Guzi would take her to the zombies. The guy said indifferently to take her to find something. She thought she was going to work again. Or is this guy going to fight with Gohuo again and want her to be a assist? For the first time, she was calm. If it weren't for the motorcycle too fast and the wind was whizzing, she must ask the dog and Gohuo what happened. Now that the same thing is happening, what kind of hatred can there be so that the other party must die? After getting out of the car, Yan Ji had not responded yet, and numerous black shadows rushed at her and Guzi. I'm leaning, it's a 4th level zombies. So much, it's like gold everywhere. But she couldn't pick it up. Too much. It wasn't bad if she wasn't swallowed by gold. Yanj has self-knowledge. Although he was strangled to death, he still carried the broomstick out with pain. One swipe, that's called Shuangli. Sadly, the nucleus of the zombie that has been scanned is not hers. Alas, the broom was big and heavy, and she was very tired holding her hands. The arm was about to break. So tired but not paid at all. What could be done? She couldn't do anything about it, so tearful things had to be swept away. Guzi was very pleased. With such an expression on his face, he knew how to cast her this time. She was absorbed by such a pile of 4th level zombies, and she should be promoted soon. Earlier I heard that she needed a lot of crystal nuclei to advance. With so many now, she must be happy to die. Most of the zombies fluttered at Guzi, but the words were blocked in front of Guzi, holding the broomstick, and they had a meaning that they would not be in control. Guzi stood behind her, his eyes kept on watching her. Watching her sturdy back, watching her help him stop the zombies, and the mighty look of her carrying a broom. The heart began to stumble again, beating very fast. He felt as if he understood the desire of his teammates to sleep with women. He now desires her. Such a craving, grabbing his heart and scratching his liver, made him wait for a large bed to lie down with her immediately. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1539. There are more than 20 zombies at level 4 and dozens at level 3. Yan Ji originally wanted to solve the 3rd level zombies manually after completing the 4th level zombies. In this case, at least the nucleus of the 3rd level zombies could still be obtained. But these zombies are cunning, level 4 and level 3 are mixed together, those level 3 are helping the level 4 zombies. Even zombies are dying. What can she do? Even if she feels asphyxiation, she can only swipe it away and settle everything. After the 4th level zombies were cleaned up, none of the 3rd level zombies remained. Yanj held the broom and looked silently at the black carbon slag. The look of the wind is so heavy that the warriors are gone forever. In fact, the heartache is so distorted, there is no way to add it. Guzi's condensed water appeared above her head, like a shower, and the water was quite soft. He said, "Congratulations, you have absorbed so many nuclei, you need to advance." Advanced fart. Yan Ji was taking a shower and couldn't speak. She reached out and pointed her finger at the broom. "Guzi, your broom is very powerful, is it your magic weapon? You are not strong, but there are as many crystal nuclei as you want." He was out of speech and hadn't had time to respond. The big broom next to her, and the S, and possibly the knee, twisted. The heavy sweeper lifted the unguarded speech song at once, then jumped to the position where the speech song was standing before, under the shower. Take a bath. It grows tall and mighty. Fortunately, the shower appears out of thin air, otherwise it must be crowded by its strength and height. Words of song. She was hit by the skies, let's call it but, and the whole person was lying on the ground in a dog-eating state. Extremely embarrassed. Standing up slowly and silently, Yan Ji reached out and touched the face of water. What can she say? She can't say anything. In Guza's weird eyes, Yanj calmly said, is it possible to raise the shower to a higher point? It loves to be clean and takes a bath after fighting. Hee, congratulations on her advanced and fart. With this scumbag, she didn't even think of having a crystal nucleus. Yanj looked up and smiled affectionately again, can you gather me a water column again? Guza nodded shyly in her gentle eyes, yes. After showering, the singer wiped his water-stained face and didn't want to look at the daddy's goods behind him. Guza gave her an unopened towel in time. Yan Song, thank you. Guza dodged his eyes, you're welcome, your broom is special, it seems to be fine. Haha, it's just that she's finished, and swallowed her for thousands of years. Can it not be refined? Isn't it waste? Yanj is tired of answering this question. She wiped her face and hair with a bath towel, but did not intend to wipe her chest. Guza. Although it is night, his eyes are the same at night and day. That bump, he was really clear. This woman. Probably too much thinking. When he went back, when Yanj was holding Guza's waist, he felt that he could even feel the softness of her chest. Although separated by several layers of clothing, the touch feels like there is no barrier. He felt like his hard muscles had softened. It's kind of weird. His body was stiff and he wanted to move uncomfortably, but he kept that posture, didn't move, and even his breathing slowed down. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1540. Back to Thunder's accommodation building is already in the middle of the night. Yan Ji yawned as he was about to return to the room. Suddenly he thought of something and turned his head to look at Guza, who was also standing at the door. Coincidentally, Guza also stood at the door, looking at her. With his eyes closed, Guza bowed his head in guilty conscience, and took out the key to open his door to cover up. Yanj didn't think much about it. After all, the two just had a fight during the day, and she asked, why are there so many 4th-level zombies today? Guza, zombies are evolving faster than humans. Yan Song, how do you know there are zombies? Guza, I can feel it. Oh, Yan Ji simply walked to his door, leaning on the door and said to him, a little hungry. It depends on whether I can provide some supper for the sake of killing so many zombies. Guza stared down at his door lock. The door that opened so well on weekdays couldn't poke in the key today. He continued to compete with the door lock, but quickly responded, okay. Yanj, you came back in the middle of the night yesterday, to clean up these 4th-level zombies. Well, Guza said, but I didn't go to their old nest. Level 4 zombies are more difficult to entangle. Too much will take time. I am all looking for scattered zombies. Yanj, old nest? The place to go today is their old nest. Guza nodded, glancing at the words with a puzzled look. Not old nest, how can there be so many 4th-level zombies? The sad thing is that the guy Gohuo is not in his old nest, or else he will be swept away by her, and he won't die if he doesn't need to work hard to kill him. Yan Ji stared at this guy with a complex look. Zombies. This guy was fat, but she went to the zombies. If so many 4th-level zombies are absorbed by her, this body will definitely be advanced. But now it's all gone. No, it's a broom. Hello, broom star. That's what she thought. The broom immediately appeared between her and Guza. The broom star is tall, big, and thick, standing in the corridor, the height against the ceiling, the width blocked the corridor. As for density, Yan Ji can no longer see Guzi's face. There is no need to wash your eyes with Guzi's dazzling head, which is actually very good. The door finally opened, and Guzi said to Yanj across the broom, "Come in." Yanj pushed the broom and pushed the star, pushed the guy aside, and then entered the room. Broom Star twisted her body and wanted to enter the door. However, his figure was majestic and taller than the door. He couldn't get in after changing several postures. Guzi didn't notice that the Broom Star twitched several times in his place. He thought that because the words didn't help, the Broom Star fell in the corridor. His attention was now on Yan Ji's body, and as soon as he reached out, the snacks on the table appeared. Oh, and a variety of porridge drinks and teas. Yanj sat firmly in position C, grinning, and left the blocked Broom Star behind him. After eating for a while, I felt that my stomach was almost the same, and Yanj officially opened the topic with Guzi. "What is the relationship between Go Huo and you? You are surnamed Go, you will not be brothers, right? I see you two fighting and you die. There is a deep hatred and no one wants to let go of each other." Guzi was sitting beside him with no expression, only a pair of eyes kept staring at Yanj to eat. He also likes snacks, but he just likes them. It didn't seem to be as delicious as she was. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1541. After hearing the words, Guzi raised his eyelids and looked to the words. In the eyes of Yan Ji's anticipation, he replied, "I don't know." "This is too perfunctory," Yanj asked, "how can you not know? What is the relationship between the two of you? Don't say you don't know. Do not know. I don't know what the relationship is. Do not you know why? There must be a death between them anyway." Yan Ji didn't believe these two he didn't know. This guy was reluctant to tell her that it was in preparation for her. Yanj knows fun and doesn't even ask. She satiated, and got up with a satiated child. "Thank you for your hospitality today. I'm very full today. I'm leaving. I want to go to bed." "You should go to bed earlier." She turned to leave, but her wrist was pulled by the man. Guzi's eyes on Shang Yanj were swallowed back in his mouth. "Anything else?" Guzi bowed his head, his eyes fell on the white tender hand that was pinched in his hands. His throat rolled, and he vowed courageously and said quietly, "Otherwise you stay tonight." He stared at Shang Yanj in surprise, and added again and again, "As long as you stay, you can continue to eat as many snacks as you like, and you can eat them all night." Who is an idiot? This guy Sima Zhao's heart is revealed. Yanj pretended to be stupid. "I'm full, I can't eat at all." "Guzi, I'll rub your belly for you, then you can eat it after a while." Words of song. For the first time, I saw such a fresh and refined man who talked about you Yuju. She shook her head, "I don't want to eat anymore." "Guzi, I still have a lot of snacks you haven't eaten." Yanj, is this a deception for her? She didn't bother to answer again, turned and walked towards the door. Guzi followed the song in a few steps and pressed her against the wall. Yan Ji's eyes narrowed for a moment. Could this guy succeed or want to be strong? Let's die. Not yet waiting for the two to act. The large broom across the corridor became smaller and jumped behind Guzi. Yanj stared at his broomstick. Wouldn't this guy shoot a broomstick? Is it necessary to protect the Lord? Between its pit father history, she didn't believe it would protect the Lord. Without waiting for the words to respond, the big broom bent over and hit the head with Guzi. Guzi lost weight, and the whole person fell on Yan Ji. Lips were also pressed on the lips of Yanj. It's a wall. This woman just ate something hot. Among a bunch of snacks, the most hated by dogs is spicy. So many snacks are spicy because that's what he eats. So the moment he touched the lips of Yanj, he didn't feel the soft and sweet touch of his teammates. Instead, there is the illusion of being spicy and spicy. He was almost reflective and wanted to avoid it. His lips tightened for a moment, fearing that the spicy words in Yanj's mouth would continue to rush into his mouth. The broom behind him let go of him at this moment. Goza was about to stand up and escape from Yanj's lips. The broom struck again, and Goza kissed Yanj's lips again. Even more tragic, he and Yanj both spoke openly. So this time, he also felt that spicy feeling in his mouth. Too spicy. His face was all hot. Yanj thinks that the expression of the dog is strange. Obviously want to sleep with her, but now kissed her, but it is such a virgin martyr was destroyed. She was so funny that she teased him. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1542. Yanj raised his hand and squeezed the hot ear of Gozaizi, sweeping his mouth. Goza. His brain exploded for a moment, as if something had burst and his eyes were white. All the cells seemed to be hot, and the hot ones would boil and explode. However, it seems that it is not. He was a little confused, but in fact, the spicy taste was not so difficult to accept. He closed his eyes and the whole man was immersed in this dizzying illusion. Until the song was released, Gozu reacted afterwards and opened his eyes and took a step back. He felt that his lips were swollen, and he felt unconscious. However, it feels like a numbness spread from the lips. He wanted to reach out and touch it, but reached out into the air and saw the song that had been staring at him. Busily covering your ears and dropping your hand normally. It is brewing something to say to ease this little embarrassment between the two. He heard the woman ask him, "Do you want to sleep with me tonight?" Goza's face turned red again. Not only was his mouth swollen, but his body was swollen and numb. He lowered his head and held the small shoes of Yanj, nodded blushingly. The feeling of wanting to sleep with her tonight seems to be stronger. Stronger than ever, especially strong. Yanji looked at him with a serious face. "I don't like baldness. It's impossible for us to sleep, neither is this life." After the decisive comment, she turned and walked towards the door before the roll word of Goza said. The broom hopped again and again, followed behind Yanj, blocking the sight of Goza looking at Yanj's back completely. Goza stood still. He stared at the wide open door, and cold wind poured in from the door. It's so cold. The top of the head is cold and has no hair. It is too cold to blow the scalp with a windbreaker. He wanted to hold his own head, but couldn't hold it. Yanj entered his room, and was about to take back the mop. The guy had already hopped into her bathroom. I don't know how to operate it, but the water was turned on, and the sound of the water in the bathroom rang. It always feels like this guy is fine now. However, it seems that it was originally a fine. Yanji has taken a bath, and she wants to sleep when she is full, and when she lies down on the bed, she falls asleep under a quilt. When she woke up, she found a big broom in her arms. The heavy broom that swept across the zombies felt soft, which was pretty good. Yanj pinched a few more on it. "No, I can talk to you, please call my mother to listen." She just said casually, "Just boring." Unexpectedly, as soon as the words fell, her broomstick shouted in a tender childish voice, "Well." The voice was soft and tender, and the tender one could pour out water. The soft voice was especially gentle, and the two words were called by him with a lingering dependence. The words were stunned, even though this guy was shouting, but at this moment, she was so soft-hearted. She reached out to touch the guy's head to encourage. "Put your hands up, know where to place them. After all, I don't know where the little guy's head is." It turned out that she was shouting. She was so excited that she couldn't even speak for a while. In the end, it just pinched the little guy's chubby body. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1543. If its broom body is a body. It's amazing. Yanj never thought that one day, a guy who was no different from ordinary bricks would call her. She instantly felt the kindness of her baby. She softly corrected the little guy, "Oh, well, call mother." The little guy's soft voice sounded again, "Oh. Shouldn't this guy just shout these two words?" Not only was Yanj not disappointed, he laughed happily. "Open your hands and hug the little guy and rub it, will it deform? Turn it into a personal mom and take a look." She also wanted to say that if you become an adult, you will become a tree. As soon as the words fell, the little guy in her arms became a feather duster. Words of song. The little guy's transformation talent is obviously not very good. This is like the attributes of their big trees. Nice. Yanji touched the feathers of the feathers, and encouraged patiently, "Continue to change another." Before the words were finished, the little guy became a pot. An iron wok made of pure iron. The pot was too big, and Yanj was caught directly in the pot. It was all dark. Yanj can't encourage this guy happily. However, she was not pressed for too long. With a blink of an eye, the guy turned into a brick. Still lying in her arms. Well, bricks are at least better than pots. It's more like someone, she can only comfort herself so much. Although this guy is really heavy, it seems that her breastbone is about to be crushed. She was looking for a euphemism to stop this guy from changing. Her small human body can't bear the little magic of this guy. But the next moment, a little boy suddenly appeared in her arms. The boy's lips were red and white, his eyes were black like black grapes, and his face was fleshy. Curly black hair was very thick and vigorous. The chubby arm looks like a cricket section one by one, and there are small swirls on the back of the fleshy little hand. There are yogurt belly, fleshy short legs and fleshy feet. Ah, really, it's so cute. This is her son. This is her son. Yanji grinned happily at this moment and smiled sillily. This is really her son. She touched the little fellow's eyes, and then the little fellow's little hands and little feet. Bow your head and slap it, kiss a few times on the little guy's face. Just want to hold the little guy in his arms and rub it? He realized afterwards that his own arm was broken. Even if the guy becomes a human child, it is an existence that is more important than Taishan. But this still can't stop the joy of Yanj. She touched every part of the little guy, and always felt that everything looked good and perfect. This is the son she has bred for nearly 10,000 years. Those who had previously hurt themselves all fed dogs. But now she feels particularly worthy. Knowing that she could conceive such a son, she would never be so bad to him before. Regardless of his painful arm, Yanji held his little boy tightly, and his face came up, and he kissed his tender little face. "Little obedient, it looks so good, it's like a mother everywhere, it's great." Her little obedient looked at her with grape-like eyes, her long eyelashes fluttered, she blinked a few times, and shouted, "Oh! You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1544. They all blame the chest for being too flat, causing the little guy to distinguish between men and women. Yanj rubbed his furry hair. "It's Mom." Little obediently looked at her with watery eyes, and said milkily, Well, it doesn't matter if you're a puppet. Anyway, they seem to have no obvious male and female characteristics. Howling Mom is the same. So Yanj happily accepted, "Well, my good son." Her beloved son was scowling, and there was a hint of confusion in her big eyes like water grape. The knock sounded at this time. Dare to knock on her door, no one except Goza. Song, come in. The door was not locked. Goza froze at the door. This is she, invite him into her boudoir? After her relentless refusal last night, he no longer has any illusions. But her voice was so gentle and joyful, as if waiting for him. Baba. Goza could not help but think again. You can push in the door, and you can see a beautiful baby doll with a mother song in her face. He stood at the door, thinking he had gone wrong. Words song, are there a guy in the team who has healing powers? Let him come over and see my arm is broken, and my waist seems to flash, it hurts me. It is true that the voice of the song is correct. Goza narrowed his lips and glanced at Yan Ji's arm. The arm was twitching and it really broke. He couldn't tell what it was like, and narrowed his eyes before going out. Where's the baby? When Goza called the box, Yan Ji still kept the previous sitting position on the bed, still holding the doll in his arms. The box was not so calm, staring at the doll in Yan's arms in surprise, then turning his head to look at his boss with deep affection. The boss didn't speak or explain. He could only ask the song curiously, where does the doll look pretty, is it your relative? Yanj corrected him, my son. What? Looking up at the box, Yan Ji looked serious. The subordinates accidentally worked hard, the words were painful, and howled. Pro-son Yan Ji frowned, taking a sigh of cold air, seriously and earnestly, Pro-son, the pro-son of the flesh in the bone, is not fake, you see how much older I am with my son, like, it's exactly the same. Before the words were spoken, the little baby in her arms shouted, oh. Yangaba kissed his son on the forehead. Sure enough, she answered happily, ah. The box next to her whispered to remind her, he seems to be calling the boss. Yan Ji rolled his eyes, you're wrong, the baby is still young, he can't distinguish between men and women, and just calls me shouting. As soon as she had finished speaking, she was beaten. The guy stretched out his fleshly arm and shouted at Goza, oh, oh. Hands stretched out, obviously to hug. No need to remind this time, Yan Ji really saw it. The little round eyes of the little guy looking at the dog were glowing. His own son even called others to sting. Words of song, not to open a forest. She looked up at the dog. The little guy was greedy and must have smelled the snacks in the dog's space. According to the urine of the little guy, what he eats is dad, and there is nothing wrong with it. Goza was even more surprised than Yanj and could not calm down. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1545. Gozi had been staring at the little baby in Yan Ji's arms. The baby was beautiful, and Wu Yu's eyes kept staring at him. He didn't care to tease the little guy. After all, the voice of the speaker said, this guy is her own son. Before a woman sleeps, she is going to be a father. No one can rest on this man. Of course, he was the most indifferent about which man she was born to. He stared at the dark, thick, curly hair of the baby doll, thinking a little bit sourly, the hair of his dad must be thick and lush. In fact, his own hair was very thick and lush, but he was too lazy to wash it, so he shaved his head. He never thought that one day hair could become a plus in women's eyes. Thoughtful, thinking about it, he didn't expect the little guy to say a word, and even yelled at his father. The soft voice of the soft tone, listening to Goza's ears, the heart softened for a moment. And the little guy stretched out his hands as if to hug him. He looked at the little guy Baba, and subconsciously reached out to hug him. But before the child was hugged, he raised his eyes and met the words of a song like a wolf. Yanj threatened him with gritted teeth, dare to touch my son and chop your paw. This threat doesn't help her. Because her dear baby son twisted her the next moment, pushed her over the bed, and jumped into Goza's arms. Words of song. This unconscionable little guy was mad at her. The little boy jumped into Goza's arms. Then, Goza couldn't bear the weight of the little guy, and squatted on the ground with one butt. Yan Ji, who was still very angry, saw this scene and was immediately relieved. Goza finally understood how Yan Ji's arm was broken. You can know for yourself how much a baby looks at a small group. The little baby fluttered in his arms and was not affected at all, sitting in his chest and giggling with laughter. Hey! The little squatted and took his chest like a spring bed. Gozi heard the crackling of the breastbone of his chest. He felt that the breastbone of his chest was broken. More than one. The box has helped Yanj put his arms up and laughed at his boss. Boss, why can't you even hold a child? What did you do last night? Who ran out of energy? Why are you so weak? The box stretched out its hands towards the baby doll. Come here, the little guy will let the uncle hug him, and the uncle will give you sugar. Even if the sternum was crushed, the dog had no intention of letting go of the baby doll. When he heard the box, he immediately held the baby doll in his arms and tried to stand up. Yan Ji said, "My son doesn't eat sugar, he likes crystal nuclei." The box immediately took out 2 crystal nuclei from the pocket and dangled in front of the baby doll. Come, kiss your uncle, and the uncle will give you the crystal nuclei. Goza snorted coldly, regardless of his pain, and stood up holding the little guy. He was a little farther away from the box and pulled out a handful of glittering colorful nuclei from his own space and handed it to the doll. Yanj, remember this guy vowed before that there is no such thing as a crystal nucleus on his body. Her son probably just smelled the strong nucleus smell of this guy, so he called him dad. Well, my son is so smart. Like her.